Welcome back, everyone, after that quick break. I hope you got yourself a nice cup of tea and biscuits while watching the adverts because, of course, ESET doing some great stuff, and I actually really love that advert. It's absolutely amazing. It's genuinely really cool. But enough about how much I like the corporate world. Let me talk a little bit about these two players. I'm going to introduce them first, and then we will discuss what we just saw in Game 1. So, in the lower left position on Newkirk City, we do have the red Protoss player. It is Randy. And his opponent down in the lower right, the blue Terran, it is Lau. So, Game 1, we saw Randy go for DTs. He was very good with them, Lau. He had those bunkers up. He knew one base player was coming because he scouted the two gas, but he just didn't quite know what. So he was there, he was ready. He was like, I've got my bunkers up, but didn't have a missile charge. That cheese hit him hard. And it's not really a cheese, it's just hyper aggressive and all in, but yeah, DTs came in and they were like swipe, 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 killing all the workers and all the Marines, and it was a tragedy. It was absolutely savage, but it meant Randy took Game 1, and it's good to take Game 1. It's a good psychological advantage, and Lau already switching up his playstyle, going for a barracks first rather than a command center first, we saw in Game 1. And it's worth noting that these two, both top UK Masters players, are actually really good friends. They know each other in real life. They're really good buddies, so it's obviously fun for them to play. And I didn't mention in Game 1 actually what they're playing for. And, well, first prize, £30. Pretty good, not bad. Second prize is a 12-month ESET license as well. So both players are winners right now. This is like sports day in primary school, except a lot more challenging and a lot more on the line, because if nothing else, being good friends. I know if I was playing one of my close friends at StarCraft, winning, you could put me in the main ESET Grand Finals with a £10,000 prize pool up against my best friend in the finals. I would be less concerned about the prize money and much more concerned about the years and years and years of dinner conversation revolving around that time I beat you at the finals. So I'm sure those two are deeply concerned about that as well. But for the time being, Randy is going currently for the same build as he went before. Lau scouting it out there, being like, okay, 2 gas, I see your Cybercore, it's a 1-base play again. Really? Well, that's fine, because I've got my barracks up, I've got my gas up. Your probe might be scouting everything out, but I'm not falling for this shenanigans again. I am getting prepared. I may just go for my legendary 2-port Banshee play, the factory coming down, so it's definitely starting to look like that. And Lau is famous throughout the UK for his 2-ball Banshee play. It is very effective if it catches your opponent off guard, but the trouble is, it rarely does, because Lau does it so often. The people have come to know it and almost expected. I know I was in Game 1. The bunker coming down is a little bit of a mind game, because now if Randy comes and sends a single Zealot or a Stalker up, he's going to say, ooh, I wonder if he has his command center. And unless he suicides that Stalker or Zealot up, he won't know for sure. He won't know what's coming up behind. Knows there'll be some kind of tech with the gas, but a single gas means that the command center could still be coming up just a little bit later than just a 1-rack CC. So for the moment, Randy still has not revealed what he's planning to do, and there's the first starport, by the way. This lack of revealing what you're doing, Randy, is very frustrating, because you've got 2 gas out, which is still a lot of options, and when you've got lots of options, as a caster, I am terrified to try and predict what they could be, because last game I was like, oh, it could be Blink Stalkers or a Robo Gateway play, and then you went for DTs, so I just don't know at the moment. But now you've chucked down the robotics facility, I'm a bit more in the know. And I know that Lau, he is going to push back that Stalker. The bunker is chipping away. The Stalker doesn't come up, so now the information is not there. No tech lab being added on to either the factory, though, so it's just going to be a medevac and also a Hellion coming out. So that means that just a little bit of an aggressive play. That Stalker does get taken out by the Marines. A nice little move there. The SCV gets sniped off. It's coming up to scout, so it does not know that there's the robotic facility or second or now third gateway in production. Randy definitely going to be aggressive right now, but with this 1-1-1 style play, oh, so many Protoss players have had nightmares about this in the past, and I'm sure Randy is no different, but he is going for a proxy Stargate. Yes, you heard me correctly. A proxy Stargate is, of course, amazing. Are we going to see an Oracle? Are we going to see Phoenix or Voidway? Who knows what it could be coming out? I know that it won't be a Carrier or a Tempest, because not even Randy is that awesome to go for a proxy carrier rush. I don't think I've ever seen that done, but oh my goodness, if I did, I'd be excited. Lau, on the other hand, he knows what he wants. These 3 Hellions are going to come and drop him, but the pylon there, was Randy paying attention? Was he on the ball? Was he ready to notice this coming in? Because if he was, he should be able to warp in the Stalkers. And indeed, there we see it, the boost coming through, but the Observer sees all the Stalkers are saying no. Denial of this drop came down so hard. That is frustrating for Lau. He put so much into this, but he still has a good number of Marines. He's got the Banshee coming out now, but it's a proxy Oracle on its way out for Randy at the moment. Is he going to come in? Is he going to be able to do some nice damage? Well, currently, no, because there's so many Marines there. But if these Marines waddle their way across the map, then indeed there will be no defense. There'll be no way to deal with that Oracle, no missile turret. And if Lau loses game 1 to DTs and then game 2 to Oracle harassment, game 3 he is almost certainly going to be on missile turrets absolutely everywhere in preparation for any aggression that could be coming down. So the Oracle is out. A second Oracle in production. The Marines, the Hellions, the Medevac pushing across the map. The Banshee is coming around the back as well, but there is a lot of vision from that pylon, which is going to go down, revealing the Banshee. But also the Stalker running desperately up the natural will get taken out. There was very few units on the field, just those 3 Stalkers, 2 Zealots and the Sentry, which will stop Lau pushing up into the main base, but will not stop Lau from destroying this natural and possibly denying it. But the problem is a third Oracle now on the way. Unfortunately, Randy's supply blocks after losing that pylon means that it is delaying that push, that denying that harassment. The Stalker's trying to come down, the Zealot's trying to pick off those Hellions, but the Marines are saying no. And Randy indeed agrees that no, that base should not go down, cancels the next. But here comes the drop, boosting that Medevac up. This is a great little play here. And Randy now is suddenly going to do a lot of damage to Randy. The Marines out they come. The Banshee on the other side, harassing from every angle if possible. The Hellions do come up and in. The Medevac taking a lot of damage, but does get away just by the skin of its teeth. Banshee just chilling there at the moment, doing absolutely nothing. Banshee, you could have at least attacked. Meanwhile, we do see those Oracles are decimating Lau's supply line. He is losing quite a lot of stuff. Randy killed 20 SCVs there, and I can't believe my attention could not be in 2 places at once, which was unfortunate. But looking here now, those Oracles, they have a lot to account for. Mass genocide of the SCVs, but now he's pulled them back. The worker account currently sitting at 36 to Randy to just 12 SCVs of Lau. The natural base also going to get restarted. To be honest, Randy looking to be in a good spot to go 2-0 at the moment. With that proxy Stargate, he does now have a third Oracle out as well. A Viking in production ready to try and deal with that. So that will spell the end of the Oracle harassment for at least the near future. But it did more than enough damage, having killed off that many workers, giving Randy over double the worker count of his opponent. Not even a mule can get you back from that. So Lau, he is getting completely scouted out. That Observer is there and just saying, I see everything. I see everything that you're doing. Behind this, Randy just getting up his natural, getting up his robotics bay as well, ready for those Colossi. And now getting some Zealots out, getting out those Stalkers as well. He's looking quite solid. So many Observers coming out. Now an Immortal is in production as well. But these Oracles are just sitting around doing very little indeed. And that's just due to the Vikings and the Marines and just generally everything desperately trying to stop any more SCVs from dying. But Randy, that means he's contained Lau. Even though he's not doing anything, Lau is not going to move out of his base for a while, just sending that Viking forward. And will the Vikings here? Where is the rally? He's moving up. Does he spot the Oracles? The answer is no. They are hidden just out of his view. He will find the proxy Stargate though, so that can die. But he will not be able to kill off the things that can kill him, which is unfortunate. The Banshee also not doing that much, just sitting down in the middle of the map. The Nexus at the natural base of Randy is up and running. So that's good news for him. He's going to be able to start pumping out 2 probes at a time. Still 20 workers above his opponent, nearly double. So that is just good news. Actually, just over double. So by 1. But Colossus is in production. Banshee now starting to chip away at some probes. Come on, Banshee. You can do this. You have only got to kill another 12 probes and you will level out the worker loss tab. And you are doing your dandiest to try and do it. Killed 7 probes already, but the natural is defended. And that, unfortunately, will spell the end of this Banshee. Pretty trying to get away, but is going to die, unfortunately, in catastrophic engine failure from those Stalker hits. But still, these 3 Oracles doing very well. The Banshee picking away the pylon, once dead and gone this Stargate, because it has been the bane of Lau's life so far this game. He's still pumping out more units, hasn't taken his natural though, and that is a small problem, because while Lau is getting up a good number of units, or while he sits here in his base, which apparently is coming to an end now, He is unable to out-expand and try and get more of an income, so he's got to almost go all in. I'm surprised he hasn't pulled a lot of SCVs, to be honest, because at this point you've got to try and go something. But Randy, he's got the observers everywhere. He's got the watchtower. He knows precisely what Lau is moving across the map with, and he has got his first Colossus out. The second Colossus getting chrono boosted is only a few seconds away from completion. That will really help. It should be out before Lau's push hits, but those tanks, they could potentially be the problem. And here comes the SCV train, the Marine train. They are all just putting their hands together, walking across the map, ready to go. The single medevac going to try and heal some of these many Marines up. But as we see Randy moving forward, he's got an Immortal there. He wants to try and force the early siege. He doesn't want those tanks getting in a position where they can shell into his natural. The second Colossus is now out. These two Colossi are going to start dealing the damage from behind. There is no extended thermal lance though. And now we see the engagement going down. Randy desperately trying to do a lot of damage. He is managing to knock out one of the tanks, but three more are there dealing a lot of damage through shelling through. But most of those Marines have gone down, but the tank should now pick up those two Colossi. The Banshee trying to help as well. The Immortal does fall, and Randy forced back Lau back into this game by destroying all of Randy's forces, and suddenly Randy is not in too much of a comfortable position. The worker count though, 12 to 35. Lau has got to take out a lot of probes in order to secure his victory. But as we see, Randy, his biggest problem right now is the fact that there are units at his natural base attacking, destroying. And if he is unable to get rid of them and clear out this big push, then to be honest, he's not going to have a natural to send those probes back to, and that won't help him because his main base is starting to get a bit low on those minerals. So as we can see, the tanks shelling away, the Marines, the Banshee dealing some nice damage. The Stalkers just collecting the number. The Colossus about to get out. The single Viking treading dangerously close to those Stalkers, but the natural Nexus has now been killed, and Randy is suddenly on equal basis with his opponent. Probes getting pulled, desperate to try and knock this out. The Colossus trying to kill the tank and will succeed in doing so, and that should be the end of this push. But quite a few probes did die there. Lau has now killed 28 probes to the 33 SCVs he's lost to the hands of Randy, but Randy's lost his natural. Lau has never taken his natural, and things are somewhat reset with both supplies exactly equal. The worker supply 22 probes to 17 SCVs, factor in a mule, that's pretty equal. The army supply precisely the same, 22 apiece. The Banshee now just going down, did its last damage, but this game has suddenly got a little bit funky. It's essentially a complete reset because neither player has got much more time where they can mine from their main base, and neither player has their natural base down yet. Randy can afford to restart that Nexus, but is currently pumping units. And Lau doesn't have enough money to start his natural command center either, though, but has just destroyed all of the Protoss force. So what do you do when you're in this situation? And the answer is one of you has to expand. Neither of you have enough units in order to push through. You've got to expand. You've got to try and make that work. But Randy, he's feeling confident. He's thinking, do you know what? I've crushed that force. I know Lau is still on one base. I can see with my observer that he doesn't have much. Maybe I can make this work. But Lau, he's going for the drop tech as well. Attacking from all angles. Lau, well, Randy now pulling back after seeing that actually maybe I shouldn't be going for this. The Stalker just checking around to see if there's any free units he could grab. Randy desperately trying to secure his natural base up again. But Lau, he is the one base wonder. He's nearly mined out, but he is not going to build another command center. Why bother when he can just float that one down? The drop trying to come in, but saying, hey, do you know what? I'm boosting out of here because you've got a lot of units. The Stalker's coming up as well, but boost is now on cooldown, and that means these Stalkers can start chipping away. If this medevac goes down, it would be an absolutely humongous loss for Lau, and indeed it will fall. An entire medevac full of Marines does go down. That is a tremendous loss in such a close game. The supplies both hovering around plus or minus the 55 supply mark by just a fraction. The orbital command, just as expected, now flying down towards the natural base, because why build two when you've got one that can transfer? It's like the mobile home of the future. This single Stargate has survived for what seems like an absolute eternity. One Marine desperately trying to chip away at it. It's going to take a rather long time, but as we can see, Randy now coming forward is being like, you will not destroy that Stargate. All of the Stalkers coming back and knocking it out. A pylon even going to repower it, so maybe Randy has something in store for this now. This game getting pretty funky. The two Colossi are going to desperately help, but three tanks there, the two Banshees, they can do a lot of damage before those Colossi and Stalkers even get into range. So things are getting pretty crazy. The supplies very equal. The observer for Randy coming up and be like, oh, what have you got? But vision being granted now by those Banshee forward. The tank shots being bit of a warning sign that actually maybe I don't want to go up here at the moment. Sees the natural base, and I don't actually believe Randy's got in to see that actually the main orbital has moved down. So as far as Randy's concerned, this is an expansion, and he's thinking that, oh, hang on, 2 orbital commands, 2 mining bases, that's a problem. But Lao only mining off of 1 base. The 2 gas geysers in the main abandoned, even though they both have over 1,000 gas remaining. Instead, another drop getting loaded up. Lao ready to go over across the map. The observer will spot it, though. That could be problems. We've already seen 1 medevac die very early on, and another medevac may be too much of a loss for Lao to come back from. But more oracles are in production. The observer does spot that medevac. That means Stalkers definitely going to be in position. Andy is not the sort of person who would miss that coming. The single Banshee now coming to clear out this Stargate. We'll see the Oracle pop, and that means that it will definitely get defended. And that is unfortunate news for Andy, but this drop is going to come down. The Marines on their way out. They're coming across the map. Stim is not researched still at the 21-minute mark and is going to come and try and kill a couple of probes. There's no units getting pulled back. Now they are, though, desperate to come and try and defend the Stalkers. We'll be able to take out the medevac, but those Marines did get a couple of kills, trying to cut it off, but boost being used very effectively. 33 workers killed by each player at the moment. Their supplies still oh so close. They're working on 33 probes to 30 rather now. SCVs very, very close indeed. The Stargate finally dead and gone. That is one worry Lao no longer has in the back of his mind. He will take it out. Lao with a slight supply advantage at the moment, but neither player looking prepared to take a 3rd base as of yet. Both sitting really on 1 mining base at the moment, but the added gas income, double the gas income for Randy compared to Lao, is making the difference. It's allowing him to pump out more Colossi, and with only, or actually now no Vikings out on the field, actually we see that Lao has got no way to deal with those Colossus too effectively, especially now that we see extended thermal lance is done. No upgrades other than extended thermal lance have been researched this entire game, because it has been a funky game where really everything got reset after the mutual destruction. But now Randy could be taking the risk, but the payoff of the Sentry, his return on investment on this 3rd Nexus, could be huge. He's got the Twilight counts coming down, but unfortunately Lao comes in now with the Banshee and says, I know what you're doing, and will start chipping away at it. Knows that he's got a big bullseye, and as Randy moves all of his forces there is that drop still sitting on that island, ready to come into the main base, and this could be an overcommitment by Randy. He could pull too many units, and if Lao utilizes that with some multi-pronged harassment, he will be in a fantastic spot. Takes out the pylon, but he's not picking up that medevac full of units. And is he now? No, he is. He does do it. So that is great news for him. All of these units are pulled back, so he could get a couple of kills. There's a cannon down there, though, which will help, but the cannon starts chipping away. The Marines dropping out. The medevac taking quite a bit of damage. Does pull out, though, trying to kill the U-probes while he can. And he is going to get a couple dead before any units are pulled back to defend. Does he spot the Dark Shrine? That could be all important. Yes, he does just see it there with the medevac, but Boost is now off cooldown and trying to run away, but the medevac does die, so Lao loses quite a lot there, and Randy has still secured his 3rd Nexus. The orbital command is morphing. The 2nd orbital command Lao is going for now, so he will be on 2 mining bases, just as Randy will be very shortly, and these supplies are still pretty similar, only about 15 difference between them, but Lao does have slightly more units out on the field. The worker count slightly favors Lao as well with the mules. That's going to be helpful. Charge, though, is on its way down for Randy. Dark Templar can get warped in. The single Banshee on its way across now, trying to do some more damage, but things very, very close. It's too tough to tell who's going to save this. This is a real close fought battle. Some more gateways are trying to come down. Banshee, unfortunately, not going to kill that probe, going to build them. Instead, Stalkers will have time to come back into this. A couple more probes are going to go down. Relentless harassment out of Lao. He does like Banshee, so the Stalkers now underneath will put an end to that, and that Banshee is dead and gone yet again. But Lao, using this opportunity to move his Marines, his Marauders, his medevacs across the map. Is he going to take a quick look at the watchtower to see if anything's around? Yes, he will. Just a detour. It's always worth it if you're moving across this map, by the way, just to take a little detour to that watchtower and take a quick look to see if it is coming down. Meanwhile, we do have the Colossi there, desperate to try and hold this off. Extended thermal lance means they outrange the Marauders. The Archives coming down as well, so High Templar Storm is going to be the transition for Randy at the 27-minute mark. The scan going off, seeing where there's that army. Can he push up? The Colossi are coming in. The Stalkers are going to be able to pick up 1 medevac. That is a big win. It halves the medevac count because there was only 2 on the field. That means this infantry suddenly so much less effective. The splash damage from the Colossi going to be oh so potent. Plus 1 upgrades are done for Randy. Plus 1 infantry weapons done for Lao. So the upgrade advantage there for Randy at the moment. The army supplied 1 down. For Lau, though, it's going to be pretty close. And with the drop coming down at the natural base, all of Randy's units have been pulled back, which means that it's only a small force coming back to try to defend this. And Lau decides to snipe off that Nexus, knocking Randy back down to just the one mining base, where he has killed an awful lot of workers. Lau having killed 63 SCVs probes so far, sitting comfortably at 45 SCVs to just 25 probes, but Randy is now triggering the counter push. He is going for the aggression. He knows that he cleared out a lot of units. He knows that he has to end this game now because he is behind economically. He does know that that third base is up and running, and all he's got to do is push in and try and win it. Randy with 148 supply army to 104 army supply for Lau. It is going to be a close engagement, but those tanks, they could swing it into Lau's favor. The Colossi could swing it into Randy's favor. DT's warping in as well, just trying to do a little bit more damage. There is a missile charge though down for detection, but here comes the push. Meanwhile, we do see that a single Marine's going to go in and deal some more damage to Randy's base, but the tanks are down, and that was the last line of defense for Lau. We see Randy is now pushing forward. All three Colossi do remain. No Vikings on the field to snipe them off, which means the infantry will go down exceptionally quickly. The gateway support though has been taken out. The missile turret gets a kill on a Colossus. But as we can see now, the tanks on the high ground are going to try and be the last line of defense, but the Colossi able to start chipping away at the orbital command, but instead pulling back, thinking, you know what, no, I don't have enough stuff right now. The DT coming in, the single missile turret though at the third base could be too much. There's one of the natural as well, which means the shells from those siege tanks will be able to take it out. What is Randy going to do? He's got a pylon there ready for the resupply. His natural base is still mining, but he's only got 2 probes in gas, not in the other one, while oversaturated with his mineral line. Needs to adjust those workers very quickly, otherwise he is going to start falling behind without the money in order to warp in some more stalkers. So things looking very close yet again. Lau ahead just due to having the additional mining base. That is so critical at this stage, but here comes the warp in, more zealots coming down, and this could be the final push of Randy. Will he be able to break Lau's defensive position? Well, there are the tanks up on the high ground, which are going to be exceptionally useful, but the tank on the low ground does get taken out. The tank by the natural is not getting focus fired at the moment. The Colossi taking a lot of damage from those Vikings. They are forced back for the time being, and it looks like Lau is going to be able to let up this series to 1-1 with this push. Randy has no money in the bank. These are the last 3 stalkers he can afford to make, and that means that Lau pushing forward, knocking out those Colossi. Randy has no way to deal with that infantry. He has no way to push in to the tank up on that high ground, and as such, the GG should come out Lau with near double the supply of his opponent, falling down the mules with the additional mining base and with a good 20 worker lead before even the mules are taken into account. This is really Lau's game now. He's going for the counter aggression. No Colossi out on the field. This is purely a very small gateway force up against a Marine Marauder force for the Terran player. 40 army supply for Lau to just 24 of Randy. Randy would have to have the most incredible engagement going now in order to hold it off, but it looks like Lau just arching on the top, making sure that that third Nexus is not able to get down. He doesn't know that it is only just getting taken, but he could do some good damage. The Vikings preceding the rest of the army, they need to be careful not to get sniped off. There's only a small infantry force, but there are 4 medevacs, so they'll be able to heal up fairly quickly. More Marines, more Marauders are coming as reinforcements, and those could make the difference. Just a small force, but an even smaller force for Randy at the moment. Lau still at double the supply of his opponent. If he can deny this third Nexus, it will be the nail in the coffin. This match is being fought tooth and nail, desperate to try and make it work. There's the scan sees, there's only a handful of units. He pushes forward, he gets the stim, the medevac healing up very nicely. The stalker's getting taken out. The zealots desperately trying to tank up some of the damage are also falling, but with the next wave of warping with charge there, it looks like the Marauders will be forced back, trying to start a step all the way home, but there was just not enough there. There was the pick up, the boost away with the medevacs, and Randy does still hold on, literally by a thread at the moment. Lau though, definitely ahead, just due to having that third mining base up for so much longer. His natural nearly mined out though. Randy's natural, not quite as low, just due to having not as many probes, and is now transferring some of those workers towards his third base with that income, but a double drop coming towards the main base of Randy now. He has got nothing there for defense other than 1 cannon. All of Randy's production could get taken out here if he doesn't pull back in time, and with only those zealots and 2 stalkers, it will take him a long time to get there. And well, down comes the drop. All of the tech is going to go down. Pylons are getting focused as well, depowering everything very quickly. Meanwhile, a drop coming down at the third base as well. Randy has to be in 2 places at once, with an army only big enough to deal with 1 of them at a time. The Dark Shrine down the Templar Archives also already fallen. The drop pulling back, and Randy now is almost certain force the GG out. He's not going to be able to get back. He's got one DT. If a scan goes down fairly quickly, though, Lau will be fine. He has got the energy for a scan, and indeed, there it is. And so with that, I think Lau will be able to take it. He's dropping into the third again, picking off those probes, having now killed an extraordinary 76 probes this game. He should be absolutely fine, depowering those gateways, making sure that the warpins cannot keep recurring for the drop clean up in the main in the moment, boosting down towards the natural. We'll kill a couple more probes here, forcing Randy to pull back. Randy also dealing with the drop at the third base very well. This is very close still, but the bottom line is that it's 66 SCVs to just 27 probes. That means that Randy currently mining just 100 minerals a minute compared to the 1,200 a minute of Lau, who is still dropping into that third, still killing some more probes, just picking up and dropping. Only one Stalker and one Sentry there, trying to attack the medevac. Drop in the natural base as well, dealing some good damage to Forge, the robotic facility, the cybernetic are all likely to go down as well. And that just means that the longer this game goes on, the further Lau gets ahead, and the harder it gets for Randy to come back into it, especially having lost oh so many workers. The 4 Marauders dropping at the third yet again. The unit's being pulled back front hill with the drop in the main. That means the last remaining probes are starting to go down. A couple more units are arching around though, trying to deal with this, and now the drop going down towards the natural base yet again. 85 probes have now been killed, but Lau, he's getting up personal cloaking, he's getting some ghosts out, he's transferring the SCVs from his natural down towards his third base, but he's got a fourth orbit commander, or should I say a third orbit commander, ready to transfer to take that island expansion once he knocks out the rocks. And while the drops have been cleaned up, it's still 22 to 69 workers in Lau's favor. The army supply 103 to 40. No Colossi out, no High Templar, no tech either, with both the Templar Archives, Twilight Council, and Dark Shrine having been taken out. Admittedly, the robotics facility is still up and the robotics base still up, so a Colossus could come out, but Randy just does not have the minerals to do that. A DT starting to chip away. A scan's going to have to be used to deal with that. The gateway force in the middle is now getting engaged head on. Now it's so far ahead, he is going to absolutely annihilate the force. The scan goes, and there is the GG from Randy, and that means that Lau levels up this series 1-1, and that was a very hard-fought game. These two desperate to win this Challenger series. So we're going to go to a quick ad break, guys. We'll be back very shortly. Make sure you check out at ESET UK Masters on Twitter, ESETUKMasters.com as well. And if you want to check me out, it is at MadosSC2. Stay tuned. See you in a couple of minutes.